Holy fuck. We have the AliExpress Andrew Tate and his oiled up bodyguards here. This is revolutionary. But obviously he's referencing the fact that he is literally potentially injecting the olive oil into his body.
Disclaimer, this video is educational and informative in nature. Do not contact anyone shown in this video. Also, this video is discussing steroids.
Do not use steroids.
This is entirely for educational and entertainment purposes only.
I want to start this video by asking you guys a question because I have been trying to wrap my head around this for as long as we've been covering this topic. Why would you do this to yourself? Like, what is the actual point? What is the reward, the benefit that you get from doing this? Like bodybuilding related things, we do talk a lot of shit about, but that's mostly because of drug abuse. I think globally, if you look at a big picture, bodybuilding itself is pretty respectable. There's a lot of work ethic and it requires a large degree of sacrifice over a decade-long period full of dedication. The solitude that you build while doing bodybuilding, I think, is commendable. But this is just exactly the opposite. And if you expected that I'd be done talking about this situation after 3 videos now, and I wouldn't milk the shit out of it, well, you're quite wrong.
No, I think we're just getting started.
So like all these guys do with these oil-filled arms is do promotional videos for products, drinks, gyms, whatever it might be. And they get traction on these posts, and I think businesses associate that as a good thing because more traction means more conversion. But when you look at the comments and the interactions, it's basically just a bunch of people who are either shocked, like what is happening here, or they're laughing at them. It's not because they're influencing anybody. It's more because it is literally just a circus act unfolding in real time. I doubt it actually leads to meaningful conversions. And this is something that's massively important for a business because I am sure they get paid for doing promotions. This fucking comment killed me. Even Tunisian oils are injected, which if you don't know, that's funny because Tunisia actually produces really good olive oil, like some of the best olive oil you can get, especially from like an oxidized standpoint, which I don't think a lot of people expect because it's in North Africa, not like Greece or something where I think a lot of Americans think this shit comes from, which it does in some cases. But Tunisia olive oil is peak. Like if you've ever had it, it's way better in my opinion, my personal opinion. But obviously he's referencing the fact that he is literally potentially injecting the olive oil into his body, which I mean, out of all the things you could inject, I guess, you know, you might as well inject some fancy olive oil. Holy fuck. We have the AliExpress Andrew Tate and his oiled up bodyguards here. This is revolutionary. And we've seen this trend before, actually. I just posted a video talking about this exact thing, but in a different situation where the guy was a bodyguard running a bodyguard team. And essentially, he was blasting oil into his muscles to make himself look big. They were all doing it. And I think this is the same case here as well. And I think it kind of finds me an angle to really look at to answer the question which I asked at the beginning, which is why they do this. Is it for employment? Because realistically, if they look big, they look more menacing, chances are somebody with a large ego probably will hire them. These higher profile security jobs maybe pay out really good, so it's worth the cost of pinning liters of oil into your muscles. But personally, I'd rather take a skinny guy who can throw some elbows versus a big guy who struggles to walk through a door or run for that matter. I mean, do any physical related activity outside of lifting an object from point A to point B. Like pulling a car like this isn't even an impressive feat. And you see influencers post this kind of stuff a lot. Even if you put this up in scale by like 4 times, it's still not that impressive. Only a tiny fraction of a car's total weight will translate into weight being applied to you, because what you're really fighting when a car is in neutral and it's rolling is the rolling resistance and friction. So a sedan that's like 3,000 pounds and you're pulling it, you're not pulling the entire car, okay? It's so important to understand. You're overcoming the resistance of its small contact points on the ground. For a typical sedan on decent pavement, the total force force to keep it moving at like a walking pace like this is often in the range of 30 to 80 pounds of force. It's really not that impressive. That is literally the equivalent of dragging a sled through the gym, something a CrossFit mom does on a Tuesday evening. This isn't a feat of strength. And let alone, if the tires are even more inflated, shrinking contact points, or whatever else, maybe it's at a decline, it just becomes significantly less and less impressive. I wanted to take a moment out of today's video and talk about one of our sponsors. Me. I talk about performance and safety a lot on this channel, obviously. And if your hormones are in the shitter or your health is deteriorated, there is no concept you're aware of that is related to performance. That's why I made our clinic On Wellness. This is a hormone clinic that I own and run. And I built it because I was tired of seeing, well, all of the things that we talk about on this channel. Steroid abuse, people ordering random things from China. We covered a video where we talked about the contamination of oils ordered from China, or teenagers running protocols that they just have no idea what they're doing to themselves. At On Wellness, we focus on optimizing hormones and peptides to get you the best possible results. These are US made products prescribed to you by medical professionals. We order you labs, we walk through the results with you one-on-one, and develop protocols that are shipped directly to your door. There's no illegal nonsense, there's no one-size-fits-all TRT protocol, it's no BS. And we also work with men and women who have a past of abusing steroids. If you've blasted and ruined your own natural production or just your health systemically, we aim to fix the problem. I'm personally obsessed about health markers and being safe clinically. I pull my labs religiously, even though I'm not on anything anymore, because I think it really does matter. So the labs that we're getting and the health analysis that we do is beyond what any clinic out there is doing right now. If you're looking for a non-judgmental, real service that's also affordable, On Wellness may be a good fit for you. You can hit the link down below to work with us at On Wellness. You'll get real labs, real clinician insight, a real custom-made protocol for you, and medication shipped directly to your door. Now back to today's video. But these guys, in essence, will do anything that they can to prove to you that their muscle is actually muscle, that it's actually strength, that they're actually powerful individuals. And you should admire them, you should hire them, you should use them for advertisement. But I think it's so important. Let's actually talk about what's going on with these arms, their traps, their shoulders, because I have done deep dives on this and I continue to do deep dives and learn more every single time we cover topics like this. And genuinely, it just gets more insane to me. So what these guys are injecting is called synthol, or more broadly, site enhancement oil. Now, this isn't all of the time. This is a lot of the time, especially if somebody has a little bit more money and a little bit of access, they can afford to get synthol to inject into their muscles. And the formula is always offensively simple. It is 85% oil, 7.5% lidocaine, which is a numbing agent, and 7.5% alcohol as a form of a preservative. That's the entire recipe. But this happens often. I'm telling you guys, in less ideal situations, they will be injecting entirely different oils that have zero formulation. There is case studies and rumors of crazy things. For instance, injecting sesame oil into your muscles. Talk about seed oils. There is very clear case studies of people injecting liters worth of paraffin oil into their muscles. This is literally petroleum, okay? Literally petroleum that they're injecting deep into their muscular tissue. Even corn oil, like a case study in 2009 was done on somebody that was injecting corn oil into themselves, all right? This is getting wild. I just, as a person who critically thinks about all sorts of different things, I'm kind of like a hypochondriac, right? I consider the different things around me that might be impacting my body long term. When you're doing this and you're thinking, hey, doctors do injections to get very important medicines into your body, but I'm going to take that as a route of administration for corn oil. There's not like a red flag that goes off saying, hey, this might be a really bad idea. Now, the concept of injecting foreign substances into the body for cosmetic volumization is far from new. The earliest known records of using oils as a aesthetic enhancement go back all the way to 1899, when the practice was first attempted for breast augmentation and filling wrinkles. But this wasn't what we consider to be filler in today's world. This was much different. This was just, again, food oils being used, if you can imagine how grotesque that is. However, it did start to gain broad spectrum popularity in about 1990s, like like the mid 1990s. There was a German bodybuilder named Chris Clark. Originally, it was marketed as posing oil, and he developed it to basically enhance the aesthetic effects of your physique. Technically, it was marketed as a cosmetic product, not like injectable product, like a cosmetic product that you would put onto your skin. So it got marketed as something like you would rub on yourself as a posing oil, but really what he was selling was injectable oils. This allowed him to dodge pharmaceutical regulations and just sell it over the counter, essentially. And to be honest, that classification still holds today. You'll see a lot of companies selling it as massage oil or something else, right? This sort of mixture of different things. Sometimes it can be hyaluronic acid, but a lot of times it's this synthol formulation. But the part that really matters, and I think is so critical to understand, especially when we talk about these guys, when you inject this into your muscle, your body has literally no idea what to do with it. It can't absorb it, it can't break it down, it can't remove it. This is a huge problem if you really consider what's happening. It does one thing. It can basically wall off itself and have scar tissue developed around it. Your immune system basically sends in macrophages. Giant cells start forming around these pockets. And over time, those little pockets turn into what doctors call oleomas, which basically oil-filled cysts and hardened fibrotic tissue that is calcified and become sort of stuck where it is. Look, no one has ever showed this study before in a video, in a post, or anything that I've ever seen online. This took a lot of time to find, but it is really interesting. This is what an MRI looks like for somebody who has injected synthol, in this case, over 8 years. Essentially, this case study followed a bodybuilder who had been injecting daily for 8 years, and they found that there was 100 oil cysts in one arm when surgeons opened it up. There was no functional muscle left. And I quote the study, no functional muscle left within his arm. There is a pus-filled bicep that used to be something that is now just a necrotic glob of tissue and disgustingness. And after surgery, when they removed these cysts and tried to put together the arm as best as they could, the damage was permanent. There was no repair of the dead tissue or the tissue that had been pulled out. So this man had functionally developed an arm that he could move, but was incapable of supporting himself or supporting weight or really doing anything meaningful. And you see this one image from the study. And what's really important to see is that essentially what you want to see on images like this, those little purple spots, they are like myonuclei or like the really important part of the cell, but they shouldn't be everywhere. Usually they're not like this. They're far and few in between. You should be seeing lots of pink strands everywhere, like heavily curved and pushed around and squeezed together. But in his, you're seeing purple everywhere and you're not seeing a whole lot of pink. And that's essentially because the muscle is dead, non-functional, or just non-existent. And a lot of these pockets have built up and that volume has squished tissues so close together that it looks awful. If you know what an image looks like of healthy muscle tissue, you can go look it up if you want. It is much different than this. It's actually scary. Now, this study is really interesting because it actually goes on to show real images mid-surgery of them cutting open his arm and showing what the thing looks like. You don't see this too often. So as a medical science, you'd like to document it and indicate what happens when you do things so that hopefully it can help someone later. So they're documenting absolutely everything in this study, including the very first incisions, and let me tell you, it is grotesque. Obviously, I can't show it here. So I asked ChatGPT to explain it in words as best as it could in a short, succinct sentence. And this is what it came up with. This is an intraoperative photo showing a surgeon cutting out dead, liquefied muscle and oil from a synthol damaged arm, leaving only a strip of small survivable tissue behind. Now, it did it very politely. I'll add a little bit more description for you, but again, I can't show it here. Essentially, as soon as they cut open his arm, the oil was pouring out of it, and not a small amount. I mean, like, it was flowing, and it's kind of like a little bit traumatizing, like looking at this shit. And essentially, after the oil started pouring out, they took several pictures. Pus started pouring out, like white, thick pus started pouring out of his arm. Not in a small amount, all right? This was not just like some pimple popper shit. This was a lot of shit coming out of this man's arm. But visually, you can understand why the muscle looks fake. Sorry for taking the detour there. I just had to explain it if you're eating, which I know a lot of you do while you watch these videos. Forgive me. But real muscle follows anatomy. It looks like muscle. You can recognize it. I think biologically, we're pretty well programmed to identify normal looking human beings. You see what normal muscle looks like. It contracts, it changes shape, it hardens, it softens, it can do things. But the oil does nothing. It just sits there, it binds up, it falls to gravity, it lumps unevenly in a non-anatomically correct fashion, and it does not respond when the muscle contracts. It just stays as it is. You look like you literally put a balloon underneath your arm and then blew it up. There's no strength, there's no performance. It's just artificial volume added to someone's muscle. And the critical part here is it gets drastically worse as time progresses, even if you stop doing it. You see, oil travels down through tissue, following gravity, showing up in places that it was never injected years later. One guy injected his bicep, and a decade later, the oil moved into his forearms, causing nerve damage in his hands. This is another case study. Then there's the people who have been using the paraffin oil, which is essentially, again, petroleum. It's disgusting shit. And in one instance, there was a documented death from 2024 where a man in his 30s developed calcifications in his heart, lungs, kidneys, and brain from injections he had stopped 8 years prior. I will say that again. He was doing synthol, or specifically injecting petroleum into his body for whatever reason, and 8 years after he stopped was when the calcification went directly to his brain, not in places that you would expect. Essentially, his organs kept calcifying and continued to get worse after he quit. Because again, your body has just no way to get rid of this ridiculously large amount of oil. So to answer the question that I opened up with, why do this to yourself? It is purely detrimental, and you get made fun of more than you get appreciated. Now, the psychology behind it is actually pretty well documented. It's called muscle dysmorphia, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this suffer from some degree of it, and I am positive that I do as well. The clinical term is essentially describing what happens when your brain genuinely cannot recognize that your body is big enough. No matter what you see in the mirror, sometimes it registers as just simply not enough. And research shows very clearly that it is heavily related to obsessive compulsive behaviors and substance abuse, which explains why some of these guys keep injecting the oil and get bigger and bigger and bigger when, in all honesty, it doesn't seem to benefit them anymore. Like, it just makes you into a freak show in every sense of the word. It's not impressive. It's not something that I'm looking at and saying, I want to look like that one day. It's something I'm looking at and thinking, what the fuck are you doing to yourself? Like, look at the size of their legs in comparison to their upper body. They probably just go to the gym to shoot content and leave as soon as they've shot a couple pieces. They don't work out. It's so hard for me to actually believe that they think this looks good. And as I explained, doing all of this, causing permanent damage to your tissues, leading yourself down a road which is going to end sooner than the average person by a very large amount, okay? We're not talking like in your 60s, we're talking about like your 30s to 40s here, by the things that you're doing now. You can't get rid of it, all right? The damage is done. So you're walking around knowing that you've done this damage, you've basically prematurely ended your life, and there's no way to get rid of these oils. All of that, accepting that risk, they probably don't even know, let's be honest, to be fair, like they probably don't even understand the they're doing. But to look like this, like that is, man, you could just train, you know, like you could just eat protein and train. These guys are overweight too. That's like the other thing, right? They look big and bubbly, but they are genuinely, they have too much fat mass on their body. They don't have any lean mass to compensate for the amount of fat mass because they let the oil compensate and make it look like they have lean mass. It is just literally the worst case situation. Literally. I don't know. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It would mean the world to me. I will catch you in the next video. And folks, by the way, if you haven't been told lately, I appreciate you and you're important and you are valuable. All right? No need to inject oil in your muscles to be good. You're already a good person.